Excellent. And we're away. This is the Core Skills lecture series by e2language.com. In this one, we're going to focus on grammar, and we're specifically going to focus on the use of a, and the, as well as no article. They're called articles. I'm going to show you how they work once and for all, hopefully. Firstly, I'm got to say that it's very important that you learn how to use a and the and no article accurately. Why? Well, the is the most commonly used word in English. It is number one. The occurs in almost every sentence we say in English. So if you don't know how to use it, that's going to be a big problem because it's so frequent. A is the sixth most commonly used word in English. It is also extremely important. So this lesson is going to apply to PTE, IELTS, TOEFL, OET. It's going to apply to writing, speaking, listening, and reading. It's an essential part of English, okay, in all aspects. First thing we're going to do is identify a, an, and the. What I want you to do is to look at this paragraph, and I want you to count how many a and an you find and how many the you find, okay? So take out a pen and paper, look at it carefully, and I'll give you 1 minute to count the a and an and the. I'll disappear. 1 minute starts now. It's 30 seconds. You have 30 more seconds to find how many a and an and how many the there is. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's stop. Let me appear again. Cool. I don't know about you, but I got 7 thes. Here they are in green. And I got 3 a and an. 1, 2, and 3. So even in a single paragraph, we found this particular word or words appear 10 times. That's how important it is. That's how frequent it is. Right. That brings us to our first rule. The first and most basic rule of an article is that it has a corresponding noun. In other words, articles have a corresponding noun. For example, let's look at these 3 examples here. A study has revealed bees' uniqueness. The male bees live as solitary foragers. Bees have a rich behavioral repertoire. You can see that articles have a corresponding noun. A study, the bees, a repertoire. Okay? It always comes before the noun. Articles always come before the noun. Now, what I want you to do, this is a bit more of a difficult task. I want you to identify the article's corresponding nouns. I'm going to show you that paragraph. I want you to locate the article, and then I want you to find the noun that it belongs with. Don't worry about the adjectives that come between. I want you to find the article and its corresponding noun. I'll give you 2 minutes, starting from now. Write them down, write them down. 30 seconds. Good, Divya. I can see that you're getting them. Well done. Keep going. There should be 10. Good. Siku, I want the article plus noun. Article plus noun. What is it? I want you to ignore the adjectives. That's 1 minute and 20 seconds. I'll give you another 30, 40 seconds. Good, Niaz. That's one of them. Remember, Niaz, we're just looking for a and the plus noun. Good, James. Well done. You should find 10. Good, Amalak's got them. Well done. Excellent. Good, Bhumika. Excellent. And that's 2 minutes. Right. If you haven't got them all, that's okay. Let's have a look. I don't know about you, but this is what I got. I got the location. I got the nest. I got the University of Exeter, or it could have been just the university. I got a flower, a flight, the flower. I got a colony, the nest, the locations, the flowers. So we can see here that each article has a corresponding noun, okay? That's the most basic rule. Here's another rule. Adjectives can appear between the article and the noun. Okay, again, adjectives can appear between the article and the noun. For example, a new study. Here's the noun here, study. Here's the article, a, and between the article and the noun is an adjective, a new study. Here we've got the adult male, B, lives as a solitary forager. Okay, it could be adult B as well, actually. And number 3, bees have a rich behavioral repertoire. This one has 2 adjectives between the article and the noun. So here's another rule. Adjectives can appear between the article and the noun. Okay, a new study, the adult male bee, a solitary forager, a rich behavioral repertoire. Cool. Now we move to an important rule, a very important rule. The is for specific things. We use the for specific things. Let's look at our example here. The location, the nest, the University of Exeter, the flower, the nest, the locations, the flowers. The we use for a specific thing or specific things, plural. I want you to compare these examples. Think about the difference between a location versus the location. One is non-specific, one is specific. A location, the location. A nest versus the nest. A university versus the University of Exeter. Here we can clearly see that this is non-specific. It's not referring to any specific particular thing, it's referring to any university, but here, the University of Exeter, it is definitely specific. And here we have a plural, a flower versus the flowers. The refers to specific thing or things. Here's the opposite of that rule. Okay, so a refers to non-specific things. Here we have a flower, a flight, and a colony. A refers to non-specific things. For example, a location, non-specific, versus the location. A nest versus the nest. A university versus the University of Exeter. A flower versus the flower. We can see the difference between using a and using the. Cool. Here's a task. I want you to just read the writing I'm about to show you. And what I want you to do is just to notice how the use of the correct article makes the writing so much clearer. Okay? Articles are absolutely essential in writing and also speaking because it makes it incredibly clear if you use the right one. If you use the wrong one, it makes it very unclear. What this paragraph, the articles are incorrect. I'm going to read it to you, and I just want you to notice how unclear it is. The new study has revealed how bumblebees steal birds' nests. A study shows that bumblebees invade birds' nests and claim them as their own. Bees' warning buzz helps to scare a bird away from a nest. I can't tell you how often I see badly written paragraphs. People trying to study for their IELTS or their PTE, and they submit their writing and the paragraph looks like this. Why? Because their articles are wrong. The verbs might be correct, their adjectives are correct, everything's correct, but their articles are wrong. And what that does, it makes it terribly unclear. Let's compare this with the correct use of the articles, and you'll see that this one is much, much clearer. A new study has revealed how bumblebees steal birds' nests. The study shows that bumblebees invade birds' nests and claim them as their own. The bee's warning buzz helps to scare the bird away from the nest. Okay, so if we compare these two, one is unclear, one is perfect. Okay, and it makes a big difference. It's a big difference. They're little words, but they have a big difference when it comes to clarity. Here's another rule. We use a for one. Simple rule. Here we go. A flower, one flower. A flight, one flight. A colony, one colony. A equals one. So, for example, we can say a location, one location, but we cannot put the S on the end. We can never say a locations. Why? Because a equals one. We can say a nest, but we can't say a nests, plural. Why? A equals one. A university, can't say a universities. A flower, cannot say a flowers. That's a simple rule. I want you to read the following paragraph and I want you to identify the errors in your mind. I'll read it to you. When leaving in newly discovered flowers, male bumblebees perform a characteristic learning flights during which they turn back and look at the flower so they can find it again. But they make no such effort when leaving home to begin their bachelor life as solitary adults. In contrast, female worker bumblebees, which sustain an increasing colonies, return to the nest with nectar and pollen. Can you see the three errors here? Look at the first sentence. I want you to find that one. When leaving a newly discovered flowers. Okay, there's a terrible error here. In fact, there are three. Here's the first one, a newly discovered flowers. You can't do that. When leaving a newly discovered flower, singular, good. A characteristic learning flight, not flights. Why? Because the A means one. An increasing colony, not colonies. Now, we're going to drill a bit deeper and we're going to start to look at the main rules. The rules that I've just showed you are important, but they're not the essential rules. And if I want you to take home one thing today, it's to remember the following rules that I'm about to show you because they are the essential rules that give meaning to these words. So this rule is how you go from nouns to the nouns, from general to more specific. So with that paragraph that we looked at, here's a noun here, bumblebees, but it has no article. And here, researchers at the University of Exeter, here's the noun, but it has no article. Male bumblebees, female worker bumblebees, no articles. Learning flights, no articles. Why? When do we not use an article? This is a critical thing to understand, and I'll show you. Well, we do it like this. We go from nouns to the nouns when we introduce the thing for the first time, and it's always a plural thing. For example, researchers, no article, researchers at the University of Exeter were introducing this. It's the first time we've mentioned the researchers, and we are not using an article. Okay, we're introducing a plural noun. We don't use an article. Researchers at the University of Exeter have found that male bumblebees perform learning flights. The researchers noted that the bees flew around in circles as part of the learning flight. We have gone from nouns, researchers, to the nouns, the researchers. Task. I want you to identify, in that paragraph I just showed you, there are two more where we go from nouns to the nouns. I want you to find them for me. Type them into the chat, please. There are two more. There are two more. What are they? Nouns to the nouns. I want you to type in nouns and its corresponding the nouns as well. Good, Sundar. Well done. Male bumblebees and the bees. Flights, the flights. Good. Okay, excellent. Yes, yes, yes. Good, Alyssa. Well done. Good, Mayor. Excellent. Good. Let me show you the other two. We've got researchers and we've got the researchers. Okay. Here, it's the first time that we've mentioned a plural noun, bumblebees. The second time we mention it, we say the bumblebees because we're getting more specific now. And here, learning flights, and then we move to a more specific learning, the learning flight. Okay, so we go from nouns to the nouns. Bumblebees, the bumblebees. First time we introduce it, no article. Second time we mention it, the bumblebees. Good. Let's go a little bit deeper. How we go from a noun to the noun, singular. Let's have a look. A researcher at the University of Exeter has found a male bumblebee without a wing. The researcher noted that the bee could not fly properly without the other wing. We have gone from a noun, a researcher, to the noun, the researcher. The first time we've mentioned it here, a single noun, not a plural noun. The first time we mention a single noun, we say a researcher. The second time we mention the same noun, we say the researcher, or we say a bumblebee, blah, 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 the bumblebee, blah, 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 blah. A researcher, the researcher. Task. There are two more a noun to the nouns in that paragraph. I want you to find them for me. Type it into the chat. Good, good, excellent. Yes, yes, yes. Good, Zamira. Good, Alyssa. Well done. Good, Nayaz. Yes, excellent, excellent, excellent. We go from a to the, a to the. First time we mention the singular noun, the one thing, we say a thing. Next time we mention it, we go to the thing. Cool, good stuff. Let me appear again. Here we go. So we've got a researcher, the researcher. We've got a male bumblebee. We've got the bee. Here we've got a wing. Here we've got the other wing. You can see that the first time we mention a single noun, we go from a thing to the thing. A thing, the thing, a thing, the thing. That's how these nouns work. This is the overall rule that you must understand. This is the critical rule, okay? If you're going to remember one thing, please remember this. We use articles to go from non-specific to specific, okay? We go from general to specific through the use of articles. For example, we go from bumblebees to the bumblebees, a bumblebee to the bumblebee. Here, plural, bumblebees are cute. The bumblebees of West Africa can kill you. Okay, so we go from bumblebees, the first time we mention it, no article, because it's plural. The second time we mention the plural bumblebees, we use the bumblebees, we go a bit more specific. Here we're talking about singular, single, one bumblebee. A bumblebee bit me the other day. The bumblebee was as big as a basketball. Okay, so we go from a bumblebee to the bumblebee. This is the essential rule of articles. This is what you have to remember, because if you're writing a paragraph, you start general and you go specific. And when you do that, you have to change the article that you use. Okay? You've got to use this in your IELTS writing, your PT writing, and in your speaking as well. And when you're reading or listening to something, you should also begin to understand the use of general to specific and how the articles do that. Cool. Now I've got some tasks for you to do to really solidify your understanding. I want you to add the correct articles, okay? I'll give you 1 minute for this one and we'll check our answers at the end. Your time starts now. This, by the way, means no article. The little dash means no article. So you've got 4 to choose from. This is the beginning of a paragraph as well. You haven't seen this before. Imagine you've never seen this before. It's the first paragraph that you're reading. I'll say it again. Remember, we go from general to specific. Good, Bhumika, that looks good. Remember that there may be some where you do not have an article, okay? Think about the plural noun if it's the first time you mention the plural noun, okay? Think about if it's the first time you mention the singular noun. If it's the first time you mention the single noun, we use a. If it's the first time we mention the plural noun, we use no article. Good, Alyssa, that's looking good. That's looking good. Well done. Good, Warowitz. Cool. All right. Good, good, good. Excellent. Let's have a look. A new study. Why? Why? Why not the new study? Because it's the first time we've mentioned this single noun, so we use a. A new study has revealed how bumblebees, why? Why not the bumblebees? Because it's not specific. It's the first time we've mentioned them, and it's plural, so we don't use an article. A new study has revealed how bumblebees steal birds' nests. Why not the bird's nest? Or why not a bird's nest? Because it's the first time we've mentioned it and it's plural. If you look, it has an S. Here it has an S. First time we mention it, no article. Now, a new study, second time we mention it, it goes from a to the. A new study, the study shows that the bumblebees invade the birds' nests and claim them as their own. Ah, what about this? A bee's warning buzz helps to scare the bird away from the nest. There's a lot of complexity here. Let's look at it again. A new study, the study. Bumblebees. Number 5, the bumblebees. Number 3, birds' nests. Number 6, the birds' nests. Okay. Number 7, a bee's warning buzz. Well, it's not mentioned again, so we don't say anything about it. And number 8, the bird. This one, a new study has revealed how bumblebees steal birds' nests. The study shows that the bumblebees invade the birds' nests and claim them as their own. A bee's warning buzz helps to scare, you could say a bird away from the nest as well. This one, number 8, could be a or the. My apologies. Now, this time, let's do it on a grander, bigger scale. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I want you to apply your knowledge of thinking about from general. Is it the first time it's mentioned, down to the second time it's mentioned, if it's single, if it's the first time it's mentioned, whether it's mentioned again, if it's single, okay? This one is a bit bigger. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to go through and write one and choose between no article, a, an, and the. Ready? Your time starts now. Sorry, I should say, imagine that this is the first paragraph. This is the first paragraph. It's not leading on. "30 seconds, a minute and a half left." A minute 30. I'll wait till the answers start coming in. Good, Hattie. Think about number 1. Remember, this is the first paragraph. So it's the first time we mention researchers. Which article do we use? Amit, have a think about number 1. This is the first time we mention researchers. So do we use the researchers? Good, Warrawit, that's looking good. Moin, think about number 1. It's the first time we mention researchers. Good, Joymi, that's looking good. Alyssa, that's looking good. You've even got the capital letter, that's fantastic. That's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'll give you another 30 seconds. I really want you to get this. Mahesh, I want you to look at your first one. This is the first time that we mention researchers. So do we use an article or not? It's plural, researchers. Good. Good, Abdul, well done, that's correct. And what about number 2? It's the first time that we mention experiments, plural. Do we use an article or not? Good, Livia, that's looking good. Except for number 3. Check your number 3, Livia. Cool. Good, Arthur, that's looking good. Excellent, well done. All right, let's stop it there. Let me poke my head up. Here we go. Let's look at the answers. What have we got? We've got Researchers, I'm sorry, these three little dots are a bit distracting. This is the first time, this is the first paragraph. Researchers, no article. Why? Because it's plural and it's the first time we mention them. Researchers conducted experiments. Why no article? Because it's plural and it's the first time we mention it. Researchers conducted experiments in which they played a bumblebee sound. Why a sound? Because this is singular and it's the first time we mentioned it. They played a bumblebee sound to nesting birds. Why no article? Because it's the first time we mention the birds and it's plural. To do this, they built a little speaker. It's the first time we mention the speaker, we use this article, through which they could play the buzzing sound. Why the sound? Here we've mentioned a bumblebee sound. Second time, the buzzing sound inside of a nest. Why a nest? It's the first time we've mentioned it and it's singular. They glued a dead bumblebee, first time we've mentioned this bumblebee and it's singular, onto a toothpick, first time we've mentioned the toothpick and it's singular. And they glued the toothpick, we've already mentioned it, it goes specific, onto the speaker. We've mentioned that, there's one, so we say the. The speaker was then hidden inside the nest. Have we mentioned nest? Where have we mentioned nest? I'll have to check 13 actually. The bumblebee, we've definitely mentioned that, so we use the. Just visible. When a bird arrived at the nest, the researchers, here we go, played the bumblebee sound, we've mentioned that, and observed the bird's response through a small camera, first time we've mentioned the camera, inside the nest. So, what I want you to do now is I want you to connect the nouns. I've stripped out all the other words from the paragraph and I've just left the nouns and the adjectives and the articles. What I want you to do is find within the paragraph the connection between the nouns. For example, sorry, don't worry about 9 and 10, 1 and 17. Here we have researchers and we don't have an article, it's plural. But here we mention it again, it's still plural, and we use the researchers, the researchers. Using a pen and paper, I want you to connect the nouns, okay? So here we have a bumblebee sound. I want you to read through the paragraph and find the connecting noun, okay? I'll give you a couple of minutes to do this. What have we got? Got some answers coming through. Let's have a look. Good. Sundar's got the one about the toothpicks. Excellent. Joimi spotted a couple. Look carefully. Good. Priyanka spotted one that has 3 connections. Excellent, excellent, excellent. You're starting to see them. It's good. Good, Pathama. Good, Alyssa. Good, Moeen. A sound, the sound. Excellent. Good. Keep going. Keep finding more. I think there are about how many are there? I think there are about 10 or so. 10 connections you should be able to find. Good. The more you look at it, the more you find. It's quite interesting. That's the thing with language. The more you look at language, the more you find complexity, actually. It's great. Keeps us interested. Right. This is what I found. Number one, we had researchers. And then the 17th noun became the researchers. Why? Because here it's the first time we mention it. Here, the second time we use the. Number three, we had a bumblebee sound. Number 6, we had the buzzing sound. Number 18, the bumblebee sound. Here there were 3 connections. Nesting birds, a bird. A little speaker, the speaker, the speaker. A nest, the nest, the nest, the nest. A dead bumblebee, the bumblebee. A toothpick, the toothpick. The bird's response had no connection. Why is it the response? Maybe I have to look at that. I think it's because it's a specific response, okay? Here, the noun is the camera. It's the first time we mentioned it. We say a small camera, okay? Don't worry about the little exception there with number 19. We've got a general rule that we can follow now where we go from researchers to the researchers. Our researcher to the researcher. We go from bumblebees, the bumblebees. A bumblebee, the bumblebee, okay? Think about that pyramid. Cool, let's recap. First thing we learned was that articles have a corresponding noun, a bumblebee and the researchers. Here's the article, here's the noun. Here's the article, here's the noun. Second rule we learned was that adjectives can appear between the article and the noun. A male bumblebee, the smart young researchers. It might be one adjective, it might be more. But here's the article, here's the noun. That's the important connection. Another rule we learned was that the means specific. A university refers to, I don't know, non-specific university versus the University of Exeter. It's a specific university. We use the to be specific. We use a to be non-specific. A researcher. Do you know this researcher? No, it's just a researcher. But then the next time we mention him or her, the researcher. That's the specific one. So a for non-specific. We also learned that a means one, therefore we cannot use researchers, and that's spelt wrong anyway. So I got a point wrong for spelling and I got a point wrong for grammar. There we go. But we can say the researchers. That's good. But here we start to come to the essential rule of articles. And this is where we go from nouns to the nouns. Researchers have discovered, the researchers found. And we go from a noun to the noun. A researcher said, the researcher believes. The overall rule that you need to understand about articles is this. It takes you from non-specific to specific. Bumblebees, the bumblebees. A bumblebee, the bumblebee. The best way to think about it is like this. If you're writing a paragraph about bumblebees, you will start by saying bumblebees are dangerous. The bumblebees of West Africa are particularly dangerous. A bumblebee bit a scientist the other day. The bumblebee got squashed. Okay, we go from general to more specific to very specific down at the bottom with the bumblebee. That is how articles work. I'm glad that I did that one because I'm sick of seeing incorrect article usage. Apply that in your test, in your writing, in your speaking, and trust me, native English speakers will appreciate it. They will appreciate it. Cool, I'm going to stop recording now, but we'll go to Q&A. If you have any questions, type them into the chat.